Hello everyone, welcome to the NN Classroom. Today I'd like to share with you a typical past paper extracted from the specimen paper multiple choice. Question number 1. A really typical question asking for fundamental concepts in comparison between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So that's why what are they asking? They're asking for what structures are found only in the eukaryotes but not in prokaryotes. So the behind meaning is that for the given choices, you're going to find the only choice that only those organelles or those structures can only be found in eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So basically, the fundamental meaning behind is students should be able to know the fundamental difference between eukaryotes and prokaryotes, or in short, eukaryotic cell versus prokaryotic cells. So from here, first of all, the first foundation that you should know is that eukaryotic cell versus prokaryotic cells, TIC. The most important fundamental difference is only be one phrase or one component. Is what we call membrane-bound organelles. Right? So which means if the cell type is going to have a complicated situation or some complicated internal structures, those are what we call membrane-bound organelles, because the existence of membrane-bound organelles describing that this class of cell is going to be a bit more complicated in terms of having a way of what we call compartmentalization. So which means the departments are now very well organized. But if not, that is going to be a prokaryotic cell. So prokaryotic cell is that all the facilities are just integrated within the cell membrane, but they are not well organized with individual components or departments that serve specific jobs, right? So that's why if you see that structure is going to be a membrane-bound organelle that is only existing in eukaryotic cell, which is a more complicated cell type, just like our cells, human cells, right? So those are eukaryotic cells, and those bacterial cells, so those are normally typically prokaryotic cell, right? And one more thing that is also important is that the true nucleus. In general, true nucleus is also said to be a membrane-bound organelle, but just a really important structure, so I better list it out as an independent point, is that true nucleus means where the nuclear materials, which means the DNA, is enclosed or embraced by a nuclear membrane. So which means if you see a nuclear membrane embracing the genetic materials of DNA, that is going to be a eukaryotic cell, but if not, a prokaryotic cell. So by just these two fundamental ideas the students should learn at the very first beginning in topic 1, then they should be able to locate the correct answer, right? So for A, as you can see, neglected just means this is not embraced by the nuclear membrane. So that's why this is going to be in prokaryotic cell, right? Mitochondria obviously is a membrane-bound organelle, so that is going to be inside eukaryote. So that's why A is not our choice, right? So for B, Golgi apparatus, no doubt it is also going to be membrane-bound organelle. So that's why it exists in eukaryotic cell. 70S ribosome, a very good idea that describing that 70S ribosome exists in prokaryotic cells, because the one in eukaryotic cells is going to be ATS ribosome. It's just easy to memorize because eukaryotes are a bit more complicated, so the number is going to be higher. So that's why ATS ribosome in eukaryotes, but 70S in prokaryote. So that's why in this case, for prokaryote, right? So that's why B is not our choice, right? For C, 70S ribosome again for prokaryote, and nuclear membrane, as just mentioned. Nuclear membrane also serves as the meaning behind true nucleus, right? So nuclear membrane only exists for eukaryote, right? So this is for E, so not for C again. So that's how obviously the answer goes to D. Double check it. Mitochondria, yes, true. Membrane-bound organelle, as just mentioned. And nuclear membrane, also a classification in whether there's a true nucleus. If yes, for eukaryote, right? So that's how only for choice D exists for both in eukaryote, but not prokaryote. So answer D.